Sometimes life just gets out of control. Sometimes things that looked so obvious to us, this is our life, this is where we live, this is our reality, this is our country, this is who I am, this is my body, this is the one I love, this is how it looks. And life takes it away from you in a brutal kind of way and says it's time for a change. Something is going to change in your reality and there is nothing you can do about it. And this is a scary process because we don't choose to change. We don't want these things to change. We only want changes for the better. We want things to be better at what we believe that is the best way for this reality to act, and we want things to go this way. And if they do, how wonderful, we feel secure and relaxed and we play along with this reality and everything is just fine. But I am talking about the other side of this coin of change, because there can be no changes for the better if there are no changes for the worse. Things have to be balanced. Also, your character has to be balanced. So it has to move both ways, both in the way of changes for the better, this development of the character, success, love, and it has to work in this other mode of changing unexpectedly and challenging us to do something, challenges us to understand why this change happened, what is the meaning of this change, and how do we act. So changes for the better are a wonderful thing, and we don't have to elaborate on this subject. Let them happen. But when things are getting out of our control and changes without us wanting it, sometimes we look and we are amazed, how can this happen? So we have to understand what it is this great big change is trying to do, what we are supposed to do, and why it's happening. So we live our lives and we do that, and we have changes in our lives, but there are minor changes and logical changes, and we see the process that we are moving through and we accept them and we maneuver between the things that happen, and somehow we manage to do that. But what happens when things just go out of your control? If we were in a movie and it was a very relaxed movie, somehow it turns into an epic action movie, or it has so much intensity in the story. The story becomes so intense. This causes us a great who we thought we were. It's not what we thought our life looks like. What is happening? How can this be happening in my life? These are questions that the mind of the separate form is forced to deal with, because it didn't deal with these kind of questions before this challenge, before things just went out of control in an exaggerated way. And this can happen for any reason. It can be a personal reason. It can be something about our belief system that is being challenged. It can be an event, something that simply forces the separate character to ask itself, what was I doing all this time? Who was I all this time? Because now I'm not sure of anything. Now my reality is so different, and something so big has changed, or is changing, or is threatening to change. And I don't know, how did I get to this place? Surely I did something wrong if I got to this place. Again, we are talking about this life-changing, out of control change that is not for the better. So when you reach this point of something very profound is happening, and it looks that it is going in the wrong direction, something bad is happening, and you look at this situation and you say, and this stops you, because you have to look at the situation and say, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what is this thing. How did it come to me? When this kind of change happens, it is the end of a process, not the beginning of one. It is this accumulation of all the things that a separate form didn't deal with prior to this exaggerated event or change. All the seeds of this change are planted in the history of the separate form. This moment, this change is built, and when it finally appears and acts in this reality, it is the outcome. It is not the beginning of the process, it's the end of the process. It's the end of this natural movement of this oneness who tried to express itself in that way and couldn't. So it had to take the volume up to get the attention of the separate form, to get the full attention of the separate form of us. Because we'd rather, as I mentioned, and we are very pleased to live our lives quietly, with no major changes, and just let things slide and not deal with them. Sometimes it's just unpleasant to deal with these things, and sometimes we are too busy looking at something else, but not at the processes that are moving through the separate form, which we call life. We don't look at our lives, and when we do, it's usually when it forces us to do that. When it says, this oneness, this all nothingness says, okay, I didn't get your attention first time, second time, and 1,000 times, million times I tried, but I couldn't. You just don't listen. And now I'm sorry, but you are going to listen to me. And now I'm sorry, but you are going to change, and you have to, because if you don't, all the things you fear will happen. So changes, these drastic changes, these out of control changes, they don't appear out of the blue. They don't. If you look back to your personal history, the chain of events that led to the moment of change, you will see the pattern, you will see the signs along the way. You will. Just look. And it is amazing that this oneness never gives up. It cannot give up, because it has to. It has to express itself. So it doesn't matter how many times she tried. She will always continue trying, and she will use this thing, this oneness, this or nothingness, will use any tool available, any possible method to wake you up. And when I say wake you up, I don't mean that necessarily it will make you realize your true nature or be enlightened. It will wake you up to your life. This is the first thing that you have to do, to be alive in your life, to live your life, to see your life, to act in your life. When you do that perfectly, you are enlightened. When you act perfectly and wholly in your life, this is all you need to do. So it happens. And when I say it, it is you. Let's not make this difference between this or nothingness and us. No, we are this or nothingness. We want to wake ourselves up. We will never give up. We will always find a way to reach ourselves. And because we know ourselves so good, we challenge ourselves with our best. We take the best weapon and we fire. So we try to wake ourselves up and get ours to work in good ways. And when that doesn't work, we are forced to use this tool, which is the drastic change, the out of control change, the things that challenge the very core of our belief at the world. So we take the weapon and we fire. We take the world as we know it and just challenge it. Just makes us wonder what is going on. I don't know. This is too much. This is too strange. How can this be happening? And for the first time in a long time, when this happens, we are alive. We are alive because we have to be alive. Because, like in a state of great danger, the body works differently. The brain works differently. It is alert. It is prepared. It is ready. It is sharp. It has to, because it has to face danger. In the same way, when this great big change or reality is out of control, we have to be alert. We have to guard ourselves. We have to deal with what is happening, fight with what is happening. And it becomes, if our daily fights were like minor fights and we had to do something, and sometimes we didn't manage to do that, and never mind, it's not so bad. Sometimes reality brings us a challenge that makes us understand that we have to do that. We have to fight. We have to fight for our life. We have to fight for the one we love. We have to fight for our country. We have to fight to do something to cope with what is happening. And for the first time in many years, or maybe for the first time ever, we look at ourselves, really, really look at everything with wondering eyes. And we have to do that because reality changes around us, and we have to see who we are in this process. Who were we before this process? Why is this process happening? We just don't know. And not knowing is a great start. Not knowing, being scared, contemplating new thoughts, aliveness, so much aliveness is involved in this process. Something so drastic, it takes us, it pulls us from this sleep, deep sleep. And when that happens, that means that we were sleeping too deep, that our lives was too obvious, too ordinary. They weren't, life is never ordinary or obvious, but to us, our belief system was such that this is life, this is reality. It just was full acceptance of it. And this challenge brings us to life, pulls us towards the moment, because this change happens in front of our eyes now. It's not something that we have to deal with that has happened. It is happening. It is like a volcano erupting or an earthquake. It is happening right now. We have to do something right now, so we have to live right now. So right now, we find ourselves, we have to. So this is why this process, even though it looks like it is a bad thing for the character, that something like this would happen to her. In the absolute reality, there is no difference between good and bad. Both of them are tools Oneness is using to express itself. And when things go out of control and bad things happen, or a bad thing happens, and you are alive, and you have to do something, it is only for the character to express the highest potential it has in coping with the bad thing that has happened. If it is an exaggerated thing, the reaction has to match it. So if we usually express good or other noble qualities in small ways, these events or things getting out of control are the grand opportunities for the separate form to express noble qualities in a magnificent way. Because things are so extreme, the circumstances are so unbelievably complicated, the character has to make an enormous effort to deal with what is happening. And this enormous effort is the whole purpose of this change. Oneness or nothingness. As we want to see our glory. We want to see our brightest, most amazing colors of the character. And we cannot see that in this daily, slow, secure existence. So usually this is our lives. It's like a line, this kind of line. But it doesn't give us the opportunity really, truly to shine, really, truly to show the world and ourselves who we are, what's within. It doesn't give us the opportunity to act bravely, to act compassionately, to act in a fierce kind of way, or to act persistently. In order to deal with this state, we have to act somehow, and we only want to see how beautiful we are when we do that. And we are so beautiful when we deal with these unexpected tragedies, changes, struggles, fights, this thing that completely turns everything upside down and makes us ask ourselves, who am I and how am I in this situation and what am I going to do? And so we are alive. And then when we are alive and in the moment and have to act, how do we do that? And oh, we are so beautiful when we do that. So reality can't, our lives can't be always this kind of like out of the charts events. It cannot. It has to be more fluid, because psychologically the character can't live in such tension of all the time things getting out of control. So these events happens twice, 3 times in a lifetime, I think. Some people have more intense lives and it happens more frequently with them, and they are the people who are evolving and can take it. Because all this thing wants to do is to make us the best possible version of ourselves and express our best qualities. So it gives us the opportunity to do that. And it cannot do that without, it cannot just say, okay, and this is a theory, you are a separate form and you live your life, and here is an event that is changing the character. It cannot show you this in a book, because it would not do anything. It will not charge the separate form. The separate form, we have to believe that this is our story, that this is happening to us, that this is happening to our reality. We have to believe that in order for us to evolve and act. What motive will we have to act without identifying with this character? And I can say that even though I'm not identifying with the body and not with the character, I still act very, very fiercely against everything or for everything I believe that is right. And this is a great paradox. Why do I do that, even though I know it is just an expression? And the reason is, I want to see my own glory. I want to see how the character influences her immediate surroundings and the world itself. It's nice to see that. It opens more and more expressions. It creates opportunities. So she does that without identifying. So when things go out of control, they don't just do that to spite you or to punish you or because God is angry at you. We do that to ourselves because we want to. We want to do that. We don't do that to ourselves very often. But when we do that, when you identify something that is going really not like you planned, but in an extreme kind of way, in an exaggerated kind of way, something that puzzles you so much, that makes you be alive, when this thing happens, it is a wonderful gift for yourself. It is a wonderful gift for yourself, because if you, for a little while, delay this judgment on good and bad, just for a little while, and see things like they are, just events that are happening for a character, and what does the character do? And you will see that these moments are the things that the book is revolving around, that your character is built around. We are built around these events. We show our true colors on these rare occasions when everything goes out of control. We wanted things to go out of control. We wanted this crisis for ourselves. We wanted to see ourselves. We wanted to wake ourselves up. We wanted to grow. It doesn't matter what happens. It truly doesn't matter what is the thing that is happening. The only thing that matters is you, how you react. What is the way you act inside this crisis? What are you bringing? It's like in a war. Suddenly find yourself in the middle of a battlefield. And the fate of the war depends on you. So you have to be the greatest soldier ever was. You have to be courageous and fearless and look around you and be sharp and fight. This opportunity is the next step. Try not to see it as an obstacle, but as something that allows you to show your brightest colors, your most noble qualities. Fight back. Dive deep in the moment that you yourself created for yourself. When things go out of control, that only means that you were telling yourself a lie and you were sleeping up until the point you yourself decided that you cannot afford to be asleep anymore. You cannot tolerate this state any longer, and you have to change and you have to grow, and you do that to yourself, and this is the time you truly are in control.
Nothing good, nothing bad, nothing ventured, nothing gained, nothing stillborn or lost, nothing further than proof, nothing wilder than